Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be tuning in from. Welcome to the Truck Around and Find Out podcast, where we discuss some of our fun and hot topics here in Northern Colorado around the trucking industry, safety, community, and kind of what we have going on. We're your hosts. He's Ryan Byers with Front Range Compliance and DOT University. I'm Keith Couch with Rush Truck Centers out of Greeley, and I also have Rocky Mountain Peterbilts on YouTube. And we got Ryan back from the Caribbean today.
Yep, I am back. Well, I mean, I was back on Saturday. Well, technically Sunday morning, about 2:30 in the morning. It was definitely a long day of travel, and I know you have.
We feel terrible.
You don't feel bad for me at all, anything like that.
Don't really care.
You walked through the door, and I mentioned I was on vacation, and I think you rolled your eyes at me.
Yeah.
So
whatever.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm glad to be back. I went down to Jamaica for the week with my lovely wife Holly, and got to go down and see our friends. So we've got a couple friends down in Jamaica that we made friends with, a little couple. It's the same age as our kids. The very first trip we ever took to Jamaica, and so we try to make it a habit of catching up with them. And Lando and Gayon is their names, and they recently had a little baby, so we got to meet their little one and go out and have a good time. And I got to swim with the dolphins. First time I'd ever done that, a little excursion type thing. Have you ever swam with dolphins before?
I have.
Yeah, it was interesting. I kind of felt like it's like having a dog that lives in the water.
It's like a black lab in water.
Yeah. I mean, you throw a ball, they'll go fetch it over and over and over again, and sit there and chirp at you and squeal and that
fun.
kind of thing. So yeah, that was pretty interesting.
They are solid muscle.
I was really blown away. You know, the very first time you got to touch them, they had them kind of lay across their arms and lay up against us. You kind of got to like hug them and pull them into your body. And you know, when you first touch them, it's just like, wow, it's just it's hard. Yeah, it's just I was like, holy moly,
It's
with
one
that
solid chunk of muscle.
But it's like you're touching a very hard piece of rubber. You know, very very interesting how they were. But so we got to do that. They swam with me. I think two of them came up and like as I was laying or sitting with my arms out, they came under my feet and they picked me clean up. And I was standing above the water and no balance at issue. I mean, it felt like I was standing on solid ground. I mean, they picked me up and just as they were swimming me toward the dock, and I was just kind of like standing there and didn't feel like I was going to fall over at all. And I thought for sure, I was like, oh, I'm going to look like an idiot as soon as these things start to do that. But
they're amazing animals.
They really are. They say they can lift 400 times their weight or something like that, or not 400 times their weight. They can lift. Each one of them can lift 400 pounds apiece or something like that. I don't know. Some type of real insane amount. But yeah, Jamaica was cool. We loved Jamaica. It was our fourth time down there. So after they got their hurricane, we really just kind of wanted to get down there and be supportive and, you know, give them some tourist business and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was interesting. It was definitely more expensive, and the street hustle was way more expensive too. The guy, you know, the guys that come up to you on the beach and try to hustle you and try to get a little bit out of you, sell you stuff from figurines to bracelets to weed. They were really pushing their hustles down there hard. It was almost hard to get rid of them at some of the public beaches that we were at. So, you know, it's legit down there.
So can you tell us about the fishing?
The fishing is non-existent down there right now.
As far as fishing out in boats.
Yeah, out in boats. Yeah, I asked the question. I kind of brought on some a little bit of. They're not real happy with us here in the United States right now because they're not fishing. They're convinced that if they go out in their boat, they're going to catch a missile. And I tried to tell them, I'm like, guys, look. First off, if you go out there and you're fishing, you know, you're not going to catch a missile.
Legitimately fishing.
Yes, legitimately. But all the boats are pretty much parked right now. I didn't even see them leave. Like you'd see all the fishing boats along the beach. They're just not fishing right now. So, you know, I don't know what they're telling their people, of course, within the country and stuff like that. But I was like, guys, you're not. You go out and go fishing. You're not going to catch a missile.
Oh no.
So now, you know, if you're fishing some cocaine out of the water,
that's a different story.
You might have something happen. But But anyways, so yeah, Jamaica was super cool. Weather was absolutely great. Had a really nice time. I was showing you my tan a little bit ago.
Thanks.
And that's the second time I got the eye roll from you. Nice,
thanks for that.
Well, it was very nice. So I'm very blessed that I was fortunate enough to get a nice little vacation, which I felt that I was very due just for brain reset. So anyways, Keith, we got some stuff coming up with parking from the federal government. It's pretty great because I showed you what we had on this, and I think your response is, okay, what is that really going to do?
Yeah, I'm reading this, and I'm just, okay, you're going to throw $200 million at truck parking.
Right. What is that truly going to do? Especially when you see that they're short. One of their bullet points on this whole thing is that they're short $1.7 million in parking spaces and some stuff like that. So kind of makes you wonder, what is going on with that whole situation. So yeah, it looks like the federal government right now is working on passing a bill that kind of goes through and is going to bring in $200 million for some parking and to help this truck parking crisis. So we know it's pretty tough out there. Drivers can't find a place to park. And
who's that going to go to?
I don't know. I really don't know. Pause real quick. So I think, with this bill that they're passing, they threw out some numbers, Keith, that said, that, their thing is that the numbers don't lie type situation. 98% of the drivers are regularly having trouble finding parking. I mean, that's definitely an issue. You're driving around and you get to where you're going and there's nowhere to park unless you were fortunate enough to get an appointment or reservation at a facility. And you see trucks all trying to find different places to park, places like, the private properties such as Walmart and stuff like that, depending where you're at, they're making it even more harder or kicking them out and that kind of thing. So it's definitely a huge problem. I think this one's interesting. They said that there's 57 minutes drive time lost every day just for drivers circling an area trying to find a parking spot. And I think one of the things the FMCSA should really look at is when a truck has arrived at their location where they're going to go, if that's their destined, I think they should write something into that personal conveyance rule. Like give them an opportunity, give them some free time to help them with that parking situation, put some rules on it saying, yes, you still can't inch forward, you still can't try to strategically better your positioning and stuff like that, but ease those restrictions to try to help them truly try to find a place to park, as well as, of course, implementing and finding some new parkings and some stuff like that. So,
I know some people that did dedicate some land to just truck parking, and they're busy all the time.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, it's definitely kind of one of those situations. It does. It is a problem. I think the interesting thing is some other things that they're putting that they kind of hid. Anytime we get bill from Congress, there's always, of course, all kinds of stuff hidden in that. So one of the things is going to be a directive to develop for the United States Department of Transportation sort of a strategy to respond to cargo theft. And cargo theft, it's a huge issue. I mean, they've been cracking down big time on like the access of the U.S. DOT numbers. DOT numbers are getting hijacked left and right. So they're trying to implement using that log me in where you have to, securely log into your accounts. And it doesn't just let anybody access the DOT numbers because DOT numbers are getting hijacked, but loads are getting hijacked also. And Luke, I think you've got a short little story here of a recent hijacking that happened.
American Lip Pillow, the Alp Tucker Carlson Zen brand. He was getting ready to unleash a new drifter's set of flavors, and his truck got hijacked. And I think it was 45 loads, palletized loads on that truck, all got hijacked and stolen, and they're getting in touch with the feds to try to locate that truck.
My question is if you end up with that many extra little tins of nicotine pouches, where exactly are you going to sell them? Like, I guess the black market overseas, but I mean,
guess so.
I guess if you put it up on the local shopping network, I would imagine the ATF's going to be knocking on your door. It doesn't sound too good, but yeah, cargo theft is a huge issue. I mean, gosh, you see it all the time. People selling it and the different commodities. But you've got that. They're doing strengthening. I think this one could be probably pretty good because we've seen some huge problems with that. And that's going to be strengthening oversight on the training provider registry. So that's going to pertain specifically to the CDL training for the National Registry. We've seen, I personally, just within Front Range Compliance, we have seen numerous times just here in Colorado where, excuse me, individuals have went and got their CDL, and then all of a sudden they're getting a letter from the Colorado Department of Revenue CDL enforcement unit saying they've been selected for a retest because their training provider was found to not actually be doing what they're doing, what they're supposed to do. And recently I've had Luke kind of researching, CDLs, where to get them, prices. And I mean, we're finding that there's some companies like, hey, you're going to enter into like a 160-hour course. And we got other people saying, yeah, give us 2 weeks and you'll have a CDL. So it's just kind of all over the board. So the CDL trainers are just kind of like popping up like little tent cities, and they're short-lived and getting put out, and they're not really. And I think the other thing is with all the crashes that we've seen happen as of recently with English proficiency, I think that has also kind of alerted them that, hey, there's some shady work going on out there with this CDL training thing. And then unfortunately, seeing the way some of these individuals are driving, I don't think there's a whole lot of training going on. There's a whole lot of paperwork being filled out saying it's been done. So we'll kind of see what that brings down. And then, we're bringing in, I think the other big thing that I saw on here was there's going to be some reporting on technologies that can measure marijuana impairment. And I taught a reasonable suspicion class, and this was this week, and this was one of the things I actually talked on, because I always get the question, like, when is marijuana going to get legalized? And, we hear that all the time. And in trucking, it's not. I mean, straight up, they just don't have the science behind it to say, hey, if you consume THC, you have this much time before you go from being intoxicated to impairment. Whereas like alcohol, it's scientific fact. It's easy to determine, depending on how much someone drinks, how much what their BAC is. You can determine when they're going to be legal to drive again, or when they're going to have no alcohol in their system again. But with THC, they're not. So that'll be interesting to see where that study goes. I know that there's a big push to try to get it legalized. I don't see it happening anytime soon. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Keith, but I just don't see it happening with that type of thing. But yeah, so that's kind of interesting. I thought it was kind of interesting that we're getting this parking bill. I don't know what $200 million in the grand scheme of the size of the United States and the volume of this industry. It seems like a drop in the bucket. I think they're throwing some numbers at the community.
It's interesting in here they got autonomous vehicles.
Oh yeah, I didn't mention that one.
That's interesting. We did a little podcast on that.
We did. Yeah. It's going to see. I would imagine, looking at the secondary items that they have on this bill, I could see some $200 million going toward any one of those topics. But are we going to really handle the parking? I mean, we need infrastructure, right, for the parking and that kind of thing. And I mean, that's going to be
the truck parking lots I've seen has been everything from unfenced dirt lots to fully security fenced with restrooms and showers and plug-ins and shore power for all the trucks, and lighting. And so I've seen everything in the middle.
Yeah. Too. Well, they got to consider safety also. So it's got to be safe for the driver. But, when they start parking out in lots without security that people can just come in, it also attracts a certain type of clientele. And next thing you know, then you've got a criminal element there. And we start having problems with back into cargo theft. You start having prostitution, human trafficking, and all kinds of other things. So there's just so much that goes into it. I can't help but think that $200 million is laughable. Like, let's get serious about this, and let's do something to really help this trucking community, because they're what's moving America forward, and they're just not getting the recognition they need. So anyways, that's all I had today, Keith. Thanks for covering for me last week. I heard it was a great episode. So thank you so much for getting that going. Hey, truck around and find out. Right now, we've got 2 active crashes today at the time we're recording this, Friday, the week before we release this. And we got 2 active crashes going down in the Denver metro area that I thought were pretty interesting. And I think this first one is interesting, Keith, because we're coming into spring, right? We've got a little bit more winter left, but out's going to come the bicycles, and they're going to be out there in droves. And I think everybody, especially the trucking community, you need to remember that the law enforcement community, and I would say the state, whether as high as you go up from the governor down, they are more friendly to bicycles than they are you truck drivers.
Yes.
So give them the space they need. We all get tired of them riding like they're not supposed to, two abreast, taking the lane, not sharing the road, not moving over for you. It doesn't matter. Take a deep breath and give them the space that is needed. So this first crash that I'm talking about, it's down in Longmont area on 119 and Niwot Road. We got a fatality with a bicyclist and a commercial motor vehicle. All I'm going to say is, guys, give them the space that is due. Make sure I tell everybody, give them at least 4 foot when you pass them. Try to get around them best you can. Make sure, of course, it's a good, safe pass. But other than that, watch them. Try to keep an eye on them the best you can. We know they're not going to respect your distance and your space, so try to do your best to keep your eyes on them out there on the road. They will be out in droves again here pretty soon. And Luke, I think you came up with the second crash just before we started crashing or started talking here.
Yeah,
so
there was a stolen non-CDL commercial vehicle that was driving 91 in a 55 and crashed into a street light. And sounds like that driver was pretty heavily injured, but they got him to the hospital, and he's going to be okay. But yep, stolen truck going for a joyride.
Live to fight another. I should say, live to be released and go steal another truck another day, whatever the case could be.
Catch and
but
release.
When I saw the picture of this, Luke, it looked like it was like an F-550, like stake bed style kind of truck down there.
That's what it was, and he was loaded up with all kinds of freight on that bed, and he wrapped himself front end around that light post.
Yeah, it was definitely.
I didn't think you'd get a Ford go that fast.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so definitely. All right, guys, with that, just remember, slow down, be a little safe out there. Remember, this nice weather brings out crazy drivers, and we still have time for snow. And with all this snow that we've gotten this year, that means everybody has completely forgotten how to drive in it.
Yes.
So when we do get some snowflakes on the road, it's going to be crazy out there. Nobody's going to remember their stopping distances and safe speeds. So you as the professional drivers get to take that. So Keith, you got anything else you want to throw in here?
Nope, I'm good.
Perfect. All right. Well, with that, thank you guys. Appreciate you. And truck drivers, thanks for what you do. You're moving America forward. Be safe out there and keep our shiny side up.
God bless you guys.